Hey there, it's Kay, and I want to thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a little while since I've posted anything really, but I am ready to start off this new year and I'm ready to start my budget. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to get going on January's budget. So this is the size planner that I'm using this year. This is a junior size. So it fits half letter as well as A5. So my personal planner is A5 and my budget planner in the back here is going to be half letter. So just really briefly, I'll show you guys. I do have a couple of inserts here from the Budget Mom that I have for the beginning of my budget binder here, just like my categories and stuff. And then I added a tip tracker, side hustle tracker, and a credit score tracker. So those are the Budget Mom sheets, but these inserts are ones that I've made for myself. They're based off the inserts that I had been making in my classic size, my Happy Planner classic size. So these might look familiar if you've been following my budget plans for the last couple months. I just scaled them down. I really like this size. I used the Erin Condren A5 Daily Duo, and I found that I really liked the size of it. So I'm gonna scale down even my budget here. So today's goals is to do my calendar setup, and then my monthly budgets, and then I also have some paychecks to budget. I did only print out a paycheck 1 and 2, but I am taking January as a 3 paycheck month. I'm using my last paycheck from December to factor into January. So I will be counting 3 paychecks, but I'm gonna just add a paycheck 1 and 2 together. So let me get the monthly up. I don't have a lot to add to it. I kind of want to keep it minimal, at least for now. So I'm gonna add, these are the 2 January paydays. And then, like I said, I am also using a payday from December as well. So these 3 paychecks should be enough to cover all my fixed expenses as well as variable expenses, and I am aiming to get a little saving done as well. So here I have all my fixed expenses and the amounts written out on these stickers already. I'm going to add them. They are the same expenses I've had for quite a while. So that's why I don't really feel the need to explain them that much. And the majority of them are also on auto pay. The only one I manual pay is my rent. So I have that, and then my tuition will come out probably the day after that. And then Adobe, Creative Cloud. And then rent, I'll try to pay a couple days early, so I'll throw it on here. So there's the calendar setup, very basic. I haven't made any expense tracking stickers or anything else for here, and I really wanted to limit like decorations and stuff. So I just have a little bit of Simply Gilded washi, and I just made sure I had the month on here. So, I mean, that's the monthly view. The monthly numbers, when we get down to it, all of those fixed expenses on here, I'm just gonna have to write here. And those total up to $11.82. So let's stop and work backwards a little bit. Let's work in the income. So, like I said, I'm counting 3 paychecks. And I don't estimate any sort of side hustle income or tips. If I earn any tips from my job this month, I will possibly put them into next month's budget. I do have some rollover from December though. So that's what I'm going to basically account for my income. So I do know that there's 118 left over from December, and I haven't received paycheck 3, but I have paychecks 1 and 2 in. So this estimated monthly income will actually come pretty close to what my final income should be. So paycheck 1 was super short because I ended up getting sick and I missed almost 2 weeks of work. And my work does not pay me for getting sick anymore, even if it's COVID, which is great because I mean, that's kind of where I got it from. But yeah, so my first paycheck, which is why I decided to put it into January, is $283. And then the second paycheck that I just got is $10.90. And this third paycheck should be somewhat close to the second paycheck, so I'm going to estimate about $1,000. And that gives me an estimated income of $24.91. So that's pretty high, obviously higher than normal. I'm going to subtract the $11.82 for my fixed expenses. So I have $13.09 to work with. So between variable and savings, that's a lot of money to work with. And I actually have, because I remembered I'm going to need to make an alteration. So this is my new spending check-in sheet that I've been working with, and I do need to add, I have a new sinking fund that I'm going to be starting this year. I'm starting a rainy day fund. I had a few things that came up at the end of 2022 to where like they weren't quite emergencies, but they still weren't things I could justify going into any of these other pre-existing variable categories or savings that I have. So I figured I needed my own little fund for like bad things that aren't emergencies. So I'm adding the rainy day fund. I'd also like to start my car registration fund since it's the beginning of the year. In New Hampshire, we register our cars on like our birth month, and that's typically when you do the inspection as well. So I like to save up for that, and if I start in the beginning of the year, it gives me, 3.5 months to save, 4 months-ish. So I'm gonna add the car registration. And I'm going to transfer these into their respective places on this side of the sheet here. All right, so there is everyone. I'm just putting this back. And now I have to decide how I want to divvy up this $13.09 between everyone. And I always want to start with my variable categories. Allowance, I've been doing really, really good on a budget of $50 a month for allowance. So I'd really like to stick with that. For food, I've been going between like $3.50 And I think 350 is a pretty doable number. So I'm gonna do 350 again. Doing laundry has been pretty expensive for me, so I'm gonna go with 50. I go between like 35 and 50, so that's a good overhead. And then pet, I'm going to increase. I've been fluctuating a lot on the pet budget, and I'm going to try and leave room. So I'm gonna go with 100 on pet there. And I'm gonna be giving myself an increase on transportation. Last month for December, I finished the semester of school, so half the month I wasn't commuting as much. I was only commuting to work. So I was able to decrease my transportation budget from what it would normally be for like a full month of me going to school. So since January is kind of the same deal where I'm starting up school in the middle of the month, I'm gonna go with what I budgeted for December, which was 75. So that puts me at 625 for my variable categories. So 1309 minus the 625 leaves me 684 for savings. So car registration usually costs me like 150-ish a year, and then the inspection is like another 50. So it's about $200 a year for this ordeal. So if I'm going to split it over January, February, March, and April, 4 months, it'd be like $50 a month. So I'm going to put in 50 for car registration. And then to balance that out kind of, I put 50 in car maintenance. And then I am going to be starting this rainy day fund completely from zero. So why don't we give it a pretty big boost? We'll give it on 100. So now we're at 200 and we have what, 684. So I have 484 left. I have some medical bills to pay. So I want to make sure that I put some money into medical to partially replenish it so that it's not going down too much. So now we're at 400 out of 684. So we have 284 left between, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories. Well, if I put the 84 in emergency, that leaves 200. And then the 200 between the 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 50 each. So, all right. Again, these are estimates. And everything is going to be basically dependent on what this third paycheck does for me. So I'm going to hop into the paycheck 1 because I can actually budget that out. I'm going to put paycheck 1 and paycheck 2 on here. And then paycheck 2, I'll put paycheck 3 and December's rollover. So we have what, 283 and 1090. And then I estimated 1,000 on this one. All right, these two together are going to add up to 1,373. And I am switching it up from how I had been doing it, where I was using my first paycheck to pay the rent at the beginning of the month, but my partner paid my part of the rent for the end of December. That was due January 1st, so I don't have to pay rent until February 1st. So that's going to be my new cycle for rent. It's kind of like how I was paying my rent when I was living in my old apartment, so like a year ago. So I'll be paying rent with the last paycheck of the month like I used to. So I am going to work on most of my fixed expenses with this first paycheck. So that's going to be Spotify, Sprint, Safeco, and UMass, and Adobe. And luckily, like I said, these are all on auto pay. So these are consistent amounts. I know these amounts and I can trust these amounts to come out. Let me see what these add up to. $273. So, oh yeah, so it's $1,373. Take away $273, $1,100 to split between variable and savings. So I can actually take care. You know what's crazy? I could take care of the rent now, but I want to have my variable funds up front. So I'm gonna take care of those. And after the variable expenses, it gives me $475 to start going into my savings, my sinking funds, and everything. So I guess I'm just gonna go in order. And I budgeted 50. I'll do the 50. So I have 425, so I'll move on to home, which was also 50. So I'll do the 50. 375, so medical. Was 200. I'll do the 200. So it's 175. Personal is 50. $125, and then school was also 50. Yep. And then vet. So these are all my classic sinking funds. And then that leaves 25 to start emergency. And that leaves me off to like a really good start of the year, which is really exciting, considering I kind of like fizzled at the end of the year and just was like so exhausted and emotionally drained and just burnt out. So I do apologize for kind of going missing. I mean, I've been like here and there on Instagram, kind of peeking in to let people know I'm alive, but if you want to continue to follow me on my financial journey and just planning in general, please subscribe to my channel and turn the bell on so that you know when I upload. My goal is to be back with you guys going over my January budget for the end of the month and closing it out with you guys. So to try and not overwhelm myself with producing content, I'm aiming for 2 budget videos a month, and I can discipline myself and keep up with that. Not just for you guys, but for me too, because sharing my budget, just kind of putting it out there, helps hold me accountable, and I really, really want to be on track and strong with my finances throughout the entire year. So, thank you so much for watching. I really, really hope to see you here again. Bye for now.